Hello, welcome to Michelle Sews Again. I'm Michelle. Today I am going to share with you my experience in sewing the Rebecca Page Laura Cocoon dress. Now, this is my second time filming this. Well, it's actually my first time filming. I did the whole thing and realized when I went to turn it off that I never turned it on. Good times, good times. Okay, so let's hope I do as well this time as I did the first time. All right, so I am going to share with you my experience sewing this dress. I have recently been accepted as a brand ambassador for Rebecca Page. This, however, has nothing to do with that because I bought this pattern and sewed this pattern before that happened. So this is unrelated. This is just another one of my typical reviews. All right, so the description of this dress is that it is a cocoon dress with dropped shoulders, a scoop neck, and a high-low hem. It has optional inseam pockets. It comes in 3 lengths. There's a top length, a tunic length, and they call it an above-the-knee dress length. It is mid-thigh for sure, which in my opinion makes it a mini dress. So we'll get into that in a minute. Sizing is pretty inclusive. It goes from extra, extra small to 5XL. The bust measurements for that are 31 inches to 54 inches, and the hip measurements for that are 34 inches to 57 inches. So I made the 4XL based on my bust measurement. And I made the straight 4XL. I didn't make any adjustments to it at all. Well, any adjustments to the sizing. From a fabric perspective, this is where it's kind of cool. It requires light to medium woven or knit. So it's pretty versatile. I think that's really cool. Yardage requirements obviously depend on the width of your fabric and the size that you're going to make, but it ranges from 1.25 on the low end to 2.5 yards on the high end. I used this beautiful Ankara fabric that was gifted to me by Stitched Treasures. She is on YouTube and she's recently started her sewing channel. She had another channel before called Oya's Girl, and so the Stitched Treasures is her sewing channel. So I'm gonna link her below for you to go and check her out. She's so super sweet that she even sent me a birthday gift in the first place. I was just so flabbergasted and humbled by the fact that somebody thought of me like that. So I was very grateful. And the fabric is beautiful. It's, you know, purple is one of my favorite. All colors are my favorites, but I love the combination of the purple and the orange. And I like the fact that it's a border print and I used the border print down the side. I'll pop in some pictures here of me wearing this. Yeah. Pattern pieces, there's a front piece, the back comes in 2 pieces, there's a seam up the center. You know, I thought about just cutting that on the fold, but then when I looked at the pattern piece, there's a slight curve in the middle, so I feel like the piecing of it has something to do with the shaping of the garment, so I just cut it in 2 pieces as called for. And then there's the front and back neck facing, and that's it. So pretty simple from a pattern piecing perspective. So what adjustments did I make to this pattern? Like I said, I didn't make any adjustments to the sizing, and I do like the fit of it. I think the size that I made based on the suggested sizing from the size chart is perfect. It's the amount of ease that I like in a top. I like my things boxy and baggy, so if you like yours a little bit more fitted, then just pay attention to the amount of ease that is in the garments. And you know, if you like yours a little more fitted, then you might want to size down, but part of the whole appeal of this style of dress is the loose boxiness of it, I guess. It's not, boxy's not really right because it is kind of shaped, but it is loose fitting. So the only adjustments that I made were to add inches to the length. Like I said, the dress length is designed to hit about mid-thigh. I was not interested in that because I did want to wear this as a dress. So I lengthened it. I believe I added 2 inches to the length. There is no lengthen, shorten line within the body of the pattern. So I just added it to the length to the bottom of the pattern. The only issue with that is the high-low hem it's curved like this in the front, and then it's curved like this in the back. So I couldn't just like add 2 inches and draw a straight line. I had to go like a little bit by a little bit to make sure that I kept the shape of that curve. So that was a little bit of a pain in the butt. I wish that it had the lengthen, shorten line. And if it was just a straight bodice, I easily could have added that myself, but the bodice is a little shaped. So I wasn't sure where to add that without throwing off the proportions of the shaping, if that makes sense. All right, so that's the only adjustment I made was to the length. So what do I like about this pattern? I like the fact that it's a very simple silhouette without a lot of seam lines, because it allows you to showcase really fabulous fabrics like this beautiful Ankara that I have. So you guys know I love big, bold colors and big, bold prints. And so a pattern like this is great to show those types of things off. So that's one thing I like. I love that it's an easy throw on, get ready, get out the door kind of a style. I don't have to worry about what bottoms I'm gonna wear with it. You know, I just throw it on, throw some sneakers on, and I'm out the door. One of the things I love about this pattern, and I've had a chance to sew at least one more Rebecca Page pattern so far, her instructions are fantastic, you guys. So what I love about her instructions, let me back up. So one of the things that is, I think, one of the dividing lines between people who love Big Four patterns versus people who love indie patterns are the instructions. We all know Big Four patterns tend to be a little bit more sparse. And there are people who love that because they're very experienced. They don't need all the verbiage, blah, 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 blah. And then there are those of us that are not so experienced that sometimes that blah, blah, blah is what gets us through a pattern. So the Rebecca Page instructions are like the perfect blend of both worlds. After you get through like the beginning parts where, you know, she talks about the sizing and the pattern layout and all that jazz, she has a 1-pager with overview instructions. That's like, let's say this is steps 1 through 9 to put this dress together. It's like 1 to 2 sentences for each step. Step 1, sew the shoulder seams together. Step 2, put the neck facing on. Step 3, sew the side seams together, blah, 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 blah. For people who need more guidance than that, there is the next section that is more in-depth instructions. So let's say step 1 is sew the shoulder seams together. Man, that's a tongue twister. In the more in-depth instructions, it would be broken down into step 1A, pin the shoulder seams together. Pin the front shoulder seam to the back shoulder seam. Step 2, sew the front shoulder seam to the back shoulder seam. 1C, finish your edges, finish your seam edges. My gosh, I can't even speak today. So obviously that's a little, you know, for sewing your shoulder seams together, that might be a little bit too much. But then there's other steps where some of us need those extra instructions. So it was perfect because I actually used a blend of the two. I was able to use the overview instructions for pretty much everything on this dress, with the exception of that in the back, I'll call it a split, but a split to me is just the seams would be sewn together, you know, could either be sewn together or finished so that they open up. This is actually a V shape. And it's been a few weeks since I sewed it, so I can't remember exactly where I got tripped up, but I did get tripped up. And so I was able to go to those more in-depth instructions and I sailed right through it. And then I went back to the overview instructions to finish. So her instructions are the perfect blend for me, where I don't get overwhelmed going through too many steps for things that I know how to do, but the extra steps are available to me when I get tripped up. So I really liked that about this pattern. What don't I like about this pattern? I don't like how short the dress is. Even after I added 2 inches, it's still too short for me. It still hits me right above my knee. I wish it hit a little bit lower. And when I walk, so the day that I made this, my husband and I went out to dinner, and I wore it with just, I think, my white Vans. And as I was walking to the restaurant, the dress was like riding up my thigh, and I had to keep like pulling it down. So I don't love that. Now part of that is probably this fabric. It's beautiful, but it does, like, it is sticking to my legs and walking up. So I think that's an easy fix. I'll just wear this with leggings, and I think that'll be a cute look. So that doesn't bother me at all. So this isn't a wasted outfit, because I will still wear it with leggings. However, if I were to make this again, I would definitely lengthen it even more than the 2 inches that I already did. I don't like the fact that, as I already mentioned, that there's not a lengthen and shorten line within the body of the pattern, because adding the length to the bottom is tedious, and I don't know where to add it in the body of the pattern without throwing off the proportions of the pattern. So I wish that it had that. The other thing that I don't love is the pocket placement is just a little bit too low for me. Obviously that's on me. I know that I'm short. Usually when patterns are drafted to fit me width-wise, they're always drafted for somebody much taller than me. I mean, let's face it, even if I was smaller, patterns are drafted for people much taller than me. I'm only 5'1". Nobody drafts patterns for people that are 5'1". I'm okay with that. So I know that I need to pay attention to pocket placement, and I just spaced on it this time. So that's on me, but I don't like that on this dress. They're a little bit too low. I'm not gonna use the pockets. Both of those things are easily fixed. Should I decide to make this again in the future? I'm unsure whether I will. I do like the pattern. I have other dress patterns that I find to be easy to throw on. Not necessarily easier to sew. I mean, obviously we all know I love the Style Arc Nova midi dress. I think that, that's not necessarily easier to sew because it's got those tiers. But I do love the way that one fits, and I love the length of it. Like, everything about that one is just perfect to me. This one just has this one has more arm coverage, and it doesn't have the tiers. So it's a much different look. It's very easy to throw on. We'll see. And maybe it's just because of the fabric that I should have used this fabric for a top and not a dress. So I do think I should give this dress another try with a different fabric that's got a little bit more, I don't know, that's not going to stick to my legs as much. So overall, I do really like the pattern. It is super beginner friendly. So if you're a beginner, don't even hesitate. This one is great. And you can really, you can use like some really great fabrics and showcase them. So yeah, I recommend it. I think that it's a great dress, really easy to sew, really easy to wear. So that's about it. I'd love to know if you've made this dress already. Have you made any Rebecca Page patterns before? What do you think about her instructions? Share with me in the comments. I'd love to hear your point of view. If you have any recommendations on fabrics that you think would be great for this style, I'd love to hear it. And that's about it. I hope you found this helpful. Let me know if you're considering buying the pattern. I'd love to know. That's about it. I hope wherever you are that the weather is fantastic and that you're able to get some sewing in. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.